So what we've done more recently is sort of say, well, this is what we can do. And commit to actions that the City of Melbourne can take, which is recognising that we actually only have control over about 1% of our emissions, and the rest of our impact is through influence and facilitation and advocacy to our other levels of government to enable us to achieve that goal. So it's certainly a challenge, but we're setting the aspiration and doing what we can. Well, in Melbourne, we're starting with a very historical reliance on brown coal. So currently there's about 90% of energy use or electricity use in Melbourne comes from brown coal, and the rest is rooftop solar or grid-connected large-scale renewable energy. So we've actually set a target of 25% renewable energy for Melbourne, and so we're working on that strategy to increase renewable energy in Melbourne.
Within the Alberta context, we have about 60 or 65% of our electricity is generated from coal, some natural gas, and probably the biggest renewable that we have is within the grid system right now, and that's some wind that we get from off the Rocky Mountains. We have some pretty good wind regime there. So what we're trying to do within the City of Edmonton is really look at opportunities for renewable, and we found that solar PV is probably our biggest opportunity. We get a lot of sun over the entire year, so it's a good opportunity. In Australia,
there's been a rapid uptake of rooftop solar in the residential market. So now about a quarter of our homes have rooftop solar across the country, and that's because the price of the technology has come down and it's made it comparable to coal-based electricity from the grid. We've been supporting business through rebates and helping actually grow the skills of the industry to provide different types of products to businesses that enable no upfront capital costs, and then for businesses to pay for the solar PV through their essentially through their savings over time. And also we've developed some finance products that enable businesses to pay through their municipal rates system as well. So that's been some of the mechanisms that we've focused on for those businesses that have roof space to put solar on.
Well, that's part of our challenge. We're trying to figure out exactly where that uptake will come. You know, there's the feed-in tariff approach where you actually pay on performance and how much is generated and fed back into the grid. We're looking at that. Challenges with that is, you're into a long-term contract with or a long-term obligation with those that are putting the solar, whether it is on their businesses or on residential rooftops, and so that's potentially one incentive type we might do. But again, maybe it's just an upfront grant. Give people a little bit of money to get it kick-started in that. I think we're getting some awareness around the fact that coal may not be the best long-term solution for producing electricity, and when we talk about our potential programs and that, we get lots and lots of interest, whether they're our business leaders or just our citizens in moving forward. And the question will be, how do we leverage that from that small group of dedicated folks to a broader community conversation. From our perspective, from the city's perspective, I think the opportunity is to start to generate more and much more of our electricity locally and that type of thing, and that provides a number of other benefits too.
Melbourne was actually built on was in the industrial heartland of Australia, built on the huge amounts of coal resources that we have, and it's also one of our major export earners as a country. So it's a massive challenge for us from a transition perspective, but certainly people realise that we can't stay on coal forever. I think the challenge that we have as a municipality is because most of our customers are business customers. Our community is mostly business, They're really reliant on the grid rather than rooftop, and the state and federal policies to drive renewable energy. And so we're trying to play a facilitation role by bringing together businesses to try group procurement processes to see if we can stimulate more investment, and those businesses can then get renewable energy through the grid. So we've brought people with aligned values into a room to say, instead of working alone, let's work together to see whether we can make something change. So, and then the hope is through that amplifying their leadership, we'll be able to show that there is a way to support the energy transition in a way that is cost effective. So Melbourne has a very aspirational reduction target. It's really a carbon neutral goal by 2020, and we set that in 2002. So that was some time ago, and no doubt the council, when they set that 2020, seemed a long time away. It's not so long anymore.
We have a long-term goal of carbon neutrality. We without a date fixed. I think that, we're looking at probably closer to the 2050 than within 2020. And now we are coming back and saying, okay, well now let's bring that back to in our road to that, or our path to that long-term aspirational goal. How do we? What are the programs we need? What are the things that we can do to move the community forward on this? And so we're looking at a 2035 goal now, and so a sort of 20 years out.
20% of our buildings are retrofitting and taking action, but what we're finding is that it's really hard to get beyond the initial action, and actually energy efficiency is not that exciting to people. People like to receive a product, and renewable energy is way more interesting than sort of being able to turn off the lights because you've installed some sort of sensor